Shalom, shalom, Israel partners, and welcome to our Israel Weekly Report. And today's report is about two major things. By the way, I'm bringing you this report right now from England. I have three sons that lives in London right now. One of them owns four restaurants, and the enemies of Israel were targeting his businesses. They came and drew swastikas on the doors, boycotting the businesses. So we just came to figure out how to confront this. What should we do? How can we encourage and enforce more and more Jewish people to come and attend? This is one of the things that are really, really important right now, is for Jews and Christians to stand together now against the plots of the enemy, to boycott Israeli businesses and to target them. This is one of the most important things that we can do right now, is find the ways to stand on the right side of history and stand together with the people that are trying to make a living, and they're not coming against anybody, and yet the enemy is coming against them. But the most important thing that I want to tell you now, it's what's the atmosphere and what's the temperatures politically in Israel right now. As we were hearing last week about a lot of fraction in the Israeli government between different parts of the government, almost to the extent of the Israeli Knesset being almost toppled. We have understood that Benjamin Netanyahu was working very hard with the different partners of the coalition to try and stick together right now, as the situation is escalating in the borders of Israel, in the northern fronts of Israel. Dozens of rockets has been launched even to the Golan Heights. Unfortunately, on Tuesday night, a couple were hit inside their car by a rocket, a missile that was sent from Lebanon, and unfortunately they died because of that. There's a lot of issues happening right now around the borders of Israel, and in the meantime, Israel is sending a delegation right now, led by the head of the Israeli security forces, by the head of the Mossad, to Qatar to negotiate about the release of the hostages and ceasefire in Gaza. And the situation there is pretty tough, because Israel is suffering from a lot of pressure by the international community. Just yesterday, the president of France spoke about the fact that Israel was shooting at a school in Gaza and people were hurt, and not even acknowledging the fact that the terrorist of Hamas has been hiding inside these schools, surrounding them with human shields, with people so-called innocent, that are giving them the backup to operate from within populated areas and from within areas where they can find shelter amongst the civilians. So Israel gives them all the alerts. They gave them the opportunity to evacuate. Even now, Israel released the bulletins and released the pamphlets on top of Gaza, saying to the people, please don't go back to Gaza, because Gaza is a war zone and the terrorists are trying to rebuild their forces back there in these areas. And yet people are going back there. I don't know if this is because the Hamas is threatening them or because they are standing with Hamas, but the matter of fact is that the Hamas is taking advantage of the civilian centers to try and wage war against Israel from those areas. And in the meantime, there's the pressure of the international community for Israel to stop the war in Gaza. And in the meantime, the Palestinian Hamas will get stronger and stronger, will be able to smuggle more and more weapons from Egypt into the Gaza Strip, after Israel was able to take over some parts of the Gaza Strip where we control the tunnels, we control the facilities in which the Palestinians for years used in order to bring all these weapons, all these missiles into the area. Now the international community, together with the United States of America, are putting pressure on Israel and saying, okay, Israel, look, they have hostages of yours in Gaza, and the only way you can release them is by stopping the war and letting them rebuild their power. Israel cannot do that, and yet we are sending our delegation to keep on trying to negotiate. We learn one thing, that only the military pressure over the Gaza Strip, over the Hamas, over Sinwar, and his proxies, over Iran, over Hezbollah, only the military pressure is the one that brings them to the negotiating table. And this is the only way for us to try and get the goals of this war to come into fruition. So literally, with all the international pressure that Israel encounters and what we suffer from, we know one thing for sure: we are determined to make sure that the Hamas is not going to wage war against Israel ever again, that they will not take control of Gaza ever again, and that we'll do anything in our power to release the hostages and bring them back to their homes. And then we will find the right time as well to deal with the Hezbollah, to deal with the proxies of Iran, with the Houthis, with the militias in Iraq that has been launching drones and missiles and rockets towards Israel, that has been blocking the Red Sea from the maritime transportation. There's a lot of challenges for Israel right now, but one thing is really important, is that we will keep our unity. And the other thing that is really important, to have our allies in the West, in NATO, in the United States of America, in CITCOM, which is the American Central Command of the Middle East, to stand together with Israel and to show our enemies that we are determined to defeat them. With this note, Shabbat Shalom, and I'll come back to you next time.